I, Arya Agarwal, as the host for today's session, would definitely love to introduce our panelist. Ramkrishna Sinha from 2006 batch, an alumni of both Pilani and Goa campus, is currently the co-founder of Pride Circle. Arnab Nandy from 2011 batch of Goa campus is a very vocal and active face in the BITS community. Sreelakshmi Mohan, currently in her first year of MBA from Pilani campus and an enthusiastic member of Anchor Pilani, and Tushar Kanchipuram, a second year student of Hyderabad campus and a founder of Queer Consortium. So, before we begin the session, I, on behalf of the BITSAA community, would like to mention that it's often easier said than done. Today, we declare ourselves as an ally, but we have yet to learn a lot about this community. So, moving on to the discussion. So, we'll start off with Arnab. Like what when in 2018 on 6th of September, when the Supreme Court finally revoked the Section 377, what was your reaction and your parents and you coming out finally? So
that day was I still can't believe whatever happened that day. I didn't plan anything, whatever was happening that day. I was just going, I took a leave from my office and was going back home just for my dental appointment. And it turns out my mom was sending me posts in WhatsApp, TV screenshot. I mean, look, you're not a criminal anymore. And that is when, so I had came out to them, but they were taking their time to understand it. Right. So when you come out to your family, you put your family members in the closet, and it's their step. We have to help them in learning about the community and etc. So that day, finally, the law which was there, it was holding them a lot of back. So she told me that, okay, I really understand what you are going through. Now that the law is gone, I fully like, okay, just go, do whatever you want to do, because we have your back. I mean, and you have the voice, so just do it. And my toothache went away, and my mom said ki abhi to party ho rahi rahegi, to ja Mumbai chale ja wapas. So I just traveled back to Mumbai, and then all this thing happened. And in my head, when I was traveling, I was trying to write this post, because see, the reason I wrote that post is because I didn't want to waste that opportunity to make my coming out as a joke and a gossip. So if it was informative and it was useful to the community, and I give a lot of hands to the BITSians for each other group, where I shared that in that group, and it just bombarded. So BITSians are a great ally, to be honest.
definitely. So yeah, and the youngest member here in the panel is Tushar. What has your experience been regarding this entire scenario?
So I remember that day.
Tushar, your mic is mute.
Am I audible now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was sitting alone in my room, and I cried my heart out because I wasn't out to any of my friends yet. I was out to my parents, and their reaction wasn't the best, pleased to say. So it was hard for me, but at the same time, I was also very happy that this law has been struck down, and I am not a criminal. And it gave me more confidence, because my country's law says that I'm not a criminal anymore. That itself is a very big thing.
Definitely. So yeah, so Ram, you have been working, like you co-founded the Pride Circle. So you have been reaching out to more individuals apart from the campus inclusive communities. How has your experience been, especially with regard to the people who are still closeted and are yet to come out, especially in the lockdown?
So unlike Nandi's, my experience was not that great when I posted something on a BITSian forum, and that was way back in 2012. This was after graduating from campus and I learning about more about the community, and I thought that there should be an opportunity to give back to the college about educating people about sexuality. And it was during Waves, which is the Culfest of Goa. I put together a workshop called Demystifying Sexual Orientation, and I posted in one of the Facebook groups. Then it was pulled down by the admin, and then a lot of people supported me that this should be there, that this is a relevant topic in conversation. So that kind of became my official coming out to the BITSian audience. Unfortunately, that workshop didn't really happen for multiple reasons. We'll discuss that later. Definitely, a lot more people are coming out. They are feel more comfortable. But if you are someone in the lockdown right now and potentially with parents or people who may not necessarily be LGBT friendly, and it can be a very triggering environment where you cannot be yourself in terms of the way you want to express, the way you want to dress. Uh, Safety is important. If you feel like there could be a scenario of domestic violence, there could be a scenario where there could be physical violence against you, do not come out. uh, Find a tribe of support before you come out, because of physical health, emotional health, mental health, all of it is important. But you feel that your parents will get it, then go ahead and do it, but do read the room before you come out.
So yeah, I'm moving on to Sreelakshmi. So you have joined BITS for your pursuing your MBA. How was the scenario in your previous college regarding the LGBTQ community and the acceptance?
Okay, so my previous college, it was not very. I mean, I don't think it was that friendly because there was no talk whatsoever about the community or the representation in the campus there. So I actually came out like in my last year of engineering while I was about to get done with it, and so for a while I was like in the by previous phase where I was not sure about what it is and all. It took me time. So regarding my last campus, um, at that point of time, it wasn't a very friendly place. It was not. There was no conversation about the community. There was no kind of support group, let alone support group students. I don't think students were even talking about it. I don't think they were aware about it. And if there, I had often seen people, commenting about, passing out homophobic slurs or commenting about somebody. And I think those were some reasons that it took me a lot of time to come out. But when I finally did, because of the people I actually came out to first, like one of my best friends I came out to first, their reaction that, it's fine, like they didn't mind and nothing, like reaction showed me that it is fine. I don't mind. Even if in the future nobody would support me, they would, and I think like that is what helped me rather than the whole my campus thing.
That's great to hear. So, talking about the campus inclusivity, how, like, what is your opinion? Like, I'm really curious to know that how can we take forward? Because even if we say, like I mentioned previously, that just stating that you're an ally to the community doesn't really mean that you completely support it, because you're still in the learning process. Like, be it the gender-oriented pronoun that one should take care of, and which of the sexes or which of the terms that one should associate the other person with. Like, it's a really long process. So what is your opinion on that how should we take it forward? Like,
Uh,
any one of you can answer. So yeah, Sri Lakshmi, you can go ahead with that.
So yeah, the thing is, when you come out as an ally, also you face a lot of backlash. Even if you stand up for the rights of the LGBT community, it doesn't matter if you're not part of the community. There is still people who will try to put you down and try to push you into that community. Only because you are talking for them or you're standing up for them. So it is, as much as it is difficult for a person from the community to come out, it is very possible that as an ally also, it could be, your life could really, really become worse in a homophobic environment if people are not ready to listen to you. And, and as far as how to be a good ally, if you talk about that, especially with what you have mentioned, like, the usage of pronouns or because you don't know what it is or how it is, people are really, I think they're worried about the kind of reaction. See, if I say something wrong, it is going to offend somebody, or people are going to just the whole cancel me out, saying that, oh, you are, you're very offensive or something like that. I think that kind of culture has to change, wherein that if you are an ally, if you're a straight person, and if you're an ally to your community, and if you don't know something, don't be afraid or ashamed to ask someone for the help, to understand what it is. If you don't know somebody's pronoun, then you should just ask them for it, because I don't think anybody would be offended if you ask them what their preferred pronoun is. That is the right way to go. Rather than you assuming that that is the pronoun the one you must be using, it is much more safer when you ask for the help, because you will receive for it.
Yeah,
Before
on to one.
we
Yeah.
get into like how can allies be better and learn more, I would also want to like just take a minute to talk about why are we even discussing this topic, right? I mean, it has personally been a very dear to my heart that Bits talks about it, and I've been at it since, as I said, since 2012. Sometimes we feel like, okay, we are in engineering college or now engineering MBA college, and why do we need to talk about sexuality and all of that? So I'll give you just 2 3 instances. Like Lynn Conway, she's a transgender woman who revolutionized the Mead and Conway revolution VLSI design. Vivian Ming, again a transgender woman, who's a theoretical neuroscientist, serial entrepreneur, had founded a fifth company, is doing some really amazing work in the space of AI and NL and ML, right? And we all know Alan Turing. The results of the World War II has been very different because of that, and he was a gay man. So it's not like they are two different topics. Some BITSians are LGBT, get over it. Now, when it comes to allyship, I know LGBTQIA can be a mouthful and could be like, I don't know what to say, what is gender identity. The fact is, you don't need to understand why someone is LGBT, you just need to respect the other individual, right? And it's not rocket science. There's ton of content available online to read about the LGBT community. There are a lot of people out there who you can reach out to for support who will help you. And 3 things you can definitely do as an ally is be curious and ask the right set of questions, educate yourself. Second of all, be visible vocal ally. Don't be an ally that no one knows you're an ally. Right? The whole idea of allyship is that you're trying to lend your voice to someone who does not have a voice. So it's important that you step up and talk about, especially in college setup, call out bullying, call out harassment, call out anti-LGBT jokes. And the third piece is build that network with professors and faculty and rather the entire ecosystem within the campus so that everyone can feel included and safe and has a college that they remember. Arnab, you want to add something to that?
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree, Ram, what you're trying to say, and also what Sreelakshmi said. It's that for even for learning, we need to have a safe space, right? And I get that because people around, we all, including me, we were part of homophobia sometime or the other. But how did we reach to this point when we are vocal about it? Because we learned about it, right? It's not that we are gay, so we will be all educated since birth. No, we also are part of the society, and it took us time to understand who we are, right? And so it's of course that's obvious that it will take time for others to also understand. But as Ram said, you don't have to completely understand, you have to respect. So that's a very very important point, because if you don't know something, it doesn't give you right to offend anybody. So just uh, just see if you're asking someone something, does it really, you can answer yourself, is that offensive, right? If somebody asks you the same kind of questions, you would say that is that offensive to me, and you can yourself answer those questions.
I think Arya has been
Hey
disconnected.
Arya.
Hi. Sorry
She's
for the
back.
disturbance. Yep.
She left us to talk amongst ourselves.
Oh no. Yeah, Arnab, you were saying about the inclusivity thing.
Yeah, so one point I just was extending to what Ram and Sri Lakshmi said is that you don't have to be just because you don't know something doesn't give you the right to disrespect somebody. And for me, equality is we all are unique people. No two person are the same, right? No two. No, if there are two guys, they are not the same. They are different. There are two straight guys, they are not the same. They are different. We all are different. And equality is we treat everybody equally.
Yes, that is true. One thing is also about like what I feel about the community, like rather what I am curious, like it's like when a person comes out as gay, lesbian, or queer, so to say. So one of the things that I have noticed in my surroundings is that okay, so he just came out to be gay, but he doesn't dresses in a specific way. So like I think even that notion, or he doesn't talk that way, he doesn't, walk. So like it's like there's a role of media as well that has led us to think in a particular direction. So like that is one thing which should be normalized, especially if you consider or talk of yourself to be an ally. So yeah, that is something that I wanted to mention in this conversation.
Are you going to
So
certify who can be gay and only if you dress a certain way and talk a certain way? Yes,
exactly,
girl, that certifies to be
exactly.
homosexual.
Exactly. So that is one thing that they have associated one specific gender. And so I think the root problem or the root cause of doing so is that associating colors or dressing to the specific gender since birth, like pink is for girls, blue is for boys. So I guess that is how this mentality has evolved in a more certain way, in a more aggravated way.
It's
So
nothing but the heteronormative scripts which we all follow. We just keep
yes,
following it, and
yes,
it's
So,
been passed on to
yeah,
us.
because we're talking about dress, I just also want to call out that rainbow is not just for LGBT people. Allies are also allowed to wear rainbow things, and we appreciate allies wearing rainbow stuff.
yes.
Yeah, exactly. Sexuality is not like straight is over here and everybody else over here. It's everybody. It's everybody.
Yeah. So, like, what are the small, like, now since we have discussed what the problems are, or like the gender identification part is something that we have covered right now. So, what are the other small steps that you can take, like, not just for the allies, or but to make the other people of the outside the community more sensitive towards this issue? So, Ram,
I
what are
think
your
we
thoughts on
should
it? Yeah.
spend more time trying to just understand what happens when there are LGBT people on campus and there's no inclusion on the campus, right? What is the experience of people off college in a non-inclusive environment? And there are jokes, there's bullying. Personally, if I was out in campus, I would have had a very different college experience compared to what I had. The fact that I was part of theater and I always have to hold and watch myself, how I'm behaving, how am I walking, how am I talking, so that people don't get to know. If instead if I was playing with my strength that yes, I'm an out gay man and I know how I can create and add flavors to drama, that would have been a different performance altogether, right? The fact that people have to hide, people are bullied, called names, takes away authentic friendships, authentic relationships, and say that college friendships are for life. So this takes away those chances, and you are always struggling that what if people get to know, right? While your other friends are talking about the crush and talking about the friendships and love and all of that, you can't. Even if you have to say, you have to change the pronoun of the person, the gender of the person you're talking about, and then after that they want a picture and all the whole story, and you're taken away. That chance is taken away from you. So from active bullying, harassment, discrimination to just the fact of being yourself, that is a burden which no one should have to live with. And I think it's important that campuses build those safe spaces, so that all of us can have a really great college experience and build friendships that really last after that. Talking about solutioning, I think probably I'll invite Tushar and Sreelakshmi to add more from a day-to-day campus experience. What are the few things they
Yes.
think allies should do?
Yes. So Tushar, with yeah, despite being the founder of Queer Consortium, he has been able to bring in changes in the institutional guidelines at Hyderabad campus. So Tushar, what has your experience been so far, and what all things that you have achieved with such a great and enthusiasm?
Yeah, so my the reason that I found Zombie is that during the first year, I have desperately searched for any kind of support.
Tushar, sorry to interrupt, but your voice is pretty distorted. Is it just for me or for everyone else?
Me
No,
too.
it's got it. Yeah.
It's distorted, right? So, Tushar, maybe you can try switching off your camera and just stay on audio.
My, is my audio clear?
No, it's
Okay, you guys go ahead and just join in.
yeah. Maybe Sreelakshmi, you can continue while he figures it out.
Yeah, like continuing like what Ram said about creating safe spaces is the most important thing from a campus perspective when you talk about, because like all the small things that you mentioned, from starting from the small thing as talking about your crushes or changing whom you like, and it's basically like you're creating a persona of yours that is not really you, and then you spend the most amazing years of your life living that lie that was not yours. And it could have been a lot different if you had the chance to come out and be who you are, if not amongst your friends, but in a support group kind of a situation where at least there are some like-minded people out there who with whom you can be who you are actually, like true to yourself. But then when there is a lack of a support group in the campus, when there is lack of awareness in the campus, then there's no option for you other than to like you literally have two extreme options. Either you live a life where you are saying that you are not something, you're portraying yourself as something you're not, or you own it and then you live, face all the backlash that comes along with it as part of homophobia or transphobia, or being included into the circles of you isolation, and that all leads. That's a very dark path to go through if you're not that, if you can't cope up with that kind of situation. So yeah, like the small steps that can be taken if you see that, like basic group support points in the campuses where you can talk about problems, or at least even if there is no support group, knowing that your campus administration is such that if you are facing issues on campus, they will take it up, be it professors, be it in the administration. Like if you tomorrow, if you go and lodge a complaint that somebody is discriminating, somebody is bullying me because of my sexuality or because of the way I'm dressing or something like that, then they are going to take an action against it, and it's not going to be brushed aside saying, it's okay, it's a part of what it is, right? So that kind of an atmosphere is really important in college, because those are really the time that those 4 or 5 years of college is the time you actually build up your own persona, or you build up all your confidence. And when you take that away from an individual, it becomes really tough in the future year, the coming years, for you to cope up with all that negativity that you faced back then.
I'll just quickly add that it's not about after coming out people necessarily face hate. A lot many times you face hate before you even realize that you are LGBT. You know you're different, but people pick on that way before you come out to them.
Yeah,
So
they just
and
go into it, that you are gay, and you are what we say you are. The coming out also is not in your hands. It's just taken away from you, like just branded somebody because you choose to dress in, you choose that you want to wear colorful shirts.
Yeah. And also your identity, it's like your sexuality becomes your identity, right? And what we are not our sexuality, we are so much more, and that gets lost. It's always that is being highlighted. So we want to preserve everything about us and not just showcase our sexuality, right? So and we to be honest, we actually grow up learning to suppress ourselves rather than uh, embracing it. And to grow as a being true to yourself, we have to embrace things. But if the surrounding is not that welcoming, when I say surrounding, it's that with people whom you have your daily business, where you go to lunch or you go to the, of course you will be talking, and it's hard. I many people do it. I also did it, right? But till what time should I do it? It's frustrating actually, right? To act out, because we are acting, we are not being ourselves. We are constantly in our head that, okay, did I just accidentally spill out the gender? We are trying to talk in third gender. We try to talk in uh, abstract way so that the gender is not revealed, our sexuality is not revealed. We have to be careful, and that's not living freely. That's really not living freely. That's like we are, so apart from everything else, we are dealing with our sexuality and our identity just because we know that we will get bullied, right?
Yeah.
So it's frustrating.
And college is a very formative year in terms of your first out of home. Most of the people are out of home for the first time. They're just trying to figure out who they are, whether they like theater, sports, drama, whatever else. Like, what are the various things they can do freely? And in that race, while everyone is running with both their legs, one you are running with just one leg hop race, because half the time you're covering. You're not able to come out with full strength with whatever you're doing. So it does definitely takes away a lot.
Yep. Tushar, are you there with us?
Is not audio.
Can you try disconnecting your earphones maybe, if that helps?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's better.
Go ahead, Tushar.
Yeah, is it audible? Yeah.
Better,
So,
I guess. Yeah.
exactly what I'm said. Yeah, exactly what I'm even before we know that and we bullied in schools, we have been bullied for all sorts of things, for being feminine, for talking a certain way. So I think providing
No, we just got disconnected with the Sharia. So moving on, so like how different the scenario would have been like for you, Arnab or Ram. Say, suppose like now we have LGBTQ inclusive groups on campus. Like for Pilani, we have Anchor. For BITS Goa, we have Curious BITS, and for Hyderabad, we have queer consortium. So how would that have made any difference? Like for example, for Curious Bits, we did have three people who came out recently, one being Padma, Gaurav, and Nandan Meda. So how would have that impacted, like if you were currently in the bit situation right now, like because you, both of you have graduated now, so would have it been any different? Or like, and because like coming out does give you empowerment to a certain extent, especially if people around you are ready to acknowledge that. So Arnab or either you can take
Nandi,
the.
go ahead. Or
Yeah. See, when I started my in college, I was actually rejecting my sexuality in college.
Okay.
I was, whenever I was confused, and I was just trying to get it off, and then look it, I'm here to concentrate on my career. But little did I know that everything has to go hand in hand. So when I was in outside, when I was in my professional working life, that is where I met people. So I found role models, right? So when you say that there are out and open people in campus, they would act as a role model, right? And you, they, so the thing is, they say that it gives you the feeling that no, you're not wrong, right? When somebody says no, you're valid, whatever you're feeling is valid, that gives you kind of confidence. No, I'm not wrong. The people who are saying homophobic stuff, they are wrong, right? And then you sort of see, being queer, we try to make our own spaces safe, LGBTQI friendly, right? And that becomes like our chosen family. And it's like, it's really important. And I would have come out sooner if I had that opportunity, because that is अकेले अकेले कितना करेगा कोई, right? You have, when you read about stuff, when you see, you draw inspiration, and then it's really uplifts you when you see somebody being authentic, and as simple as that, and even the word is going out. And even not only the LGBT people, it also sensitizes the people around you who are really because we it brings out the allies also who really are helpful, and they are also the part of it. If some, let's say if some one of my friend told me in campus out of the blue, oh, this celebrity came out as gay, it's so good, yeah, so powerful, that statement in itself shows that okay, this guy is not homophobic. He's trying to create a safe space, right? So we ourselves can create the safe space irrespective of our sexuality.
I want to just add that it feels like you're drowning in a void when no one is there to get you, and no one understands you what you're going through. So all you go through, you have to fake it. You have to be by yourself and just guide yourself out of that mess. And sometimes you just hope that it ends sooner, so you're out of here. While it's great that now we have anchored QBQC in various campuses, but still I hear horrible stuff from campuses or from people talking about that it's still not safe to come out. There's still a lot of bullying. There's still a lot of harassment. So I think it's not really time to celebrate yet. I would say it's a great step that what is happening right now is really brilliant and amazing. And if that existed, so in a space where no one is there to talk to you or understand what you're going through, having a group where you can go and talk to two people, that itself gives a lot of space. So when you are acting to be someone else for 24 hours and you get 5 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours with someone where you can be yourself, when you know that this person gets me and this is our thing, that itself helps a lot. And coming out is effectively, for me, when I came to Bangalore for internship, and I met so many more LGBT people who had great careers, who were out, who were dancing to their tunes, it gave me so much more confidence that if they can do it, so can I. So having a tribe, having a set of people who get you, who understand you, makes a very big difference. And in that sense, I would really recommend that there should be out visible faculty members who are out there as allies to vocally talk about LGBT inclusion. There should be a counselor available on campus who understands LGBT issues. There should be an all gender restroom in campus so that trans or gender non-conforming students don't have to worry about which restroom to go to. There should be visible conversation and language added to the conversation and curriculum, which ensures that people have basic vocabulary on sexuality and gender.
That's really true. Then starting off with Ram once again, so Pride Circle initiated the 21 Days Ally Challenge. So how was that experience for you?
And I would have loved Bits to participate in that. So 21 Days Ally Challenge was a series of micro challenges. Small things like I'll read a coming out story, I'll read about the laws of the country, I'll watch a short LGBT film. And the idea is like, uh, one is scientifically based that it takes 21 days of conscious continual habit to learn a new habit or to even to learn a new perspective and a thought process. So it was based on that, and very small micro challenges which gives you multiple touch points, and you actually get to know that what does this community actually mean, and as an ally how can I support. So there were challenges about connecting you with local NGOs, getting to know about LGBT owned businesses, small things. So tomorrow if you're buying a cake and you know an LGBT owned bakery, you buy from there. So this is how you make a difference. So you just don't know that there should be allies, but also what you can do as an ally, right? So the whole thing was based on that, so that people who went through that journey really went through a journey of transformation to understand that. And it's really important because sometimes we are allies but we don't know how we can contribute. So this was based for that, and I think this is the first time where we have seen colleges like IM Ranchi, NMIMS, MICA, Tagore School, so many more education institutions have come forward and participated in this. So it just shows that the education institutions are changing. It's getting better in India for sure. And I would also want to add that what we're discussing today is not something which is limited to college. Tomorrow, when you come and join workplaces are heavily invested in the aspect of diversity and inclusion, because you will definitely be working with people who are different from you. That is a given, right? Whether they're from different countries, they're from different regions within the same country, different thought process, food habit, dressing sense, whatever else you call it, like there are thousands of differences. And if, as an organization, as an individual who is looking to lead people and build a brilliant career, you have to understand how people react, how people behave, and you have to understand how to really connect with people. Let's say tomorrow you're sitting in an interview panel and you have a trans person just sitting across you, but till this time you have been cracking jokes on trans, calling them hijra and chakka, and you felt it was a funny thing. Now you can't build that rapport because you don't have the vocabulary, you don't have the sensitivity. How will you really build a rapport with that person? So it's not something which is limited scope of just college may this should be a nice thing to do, but this is something which will really help you become better as an individual in your career as well.
So, Tushar, are you there? No, the voice is still distorted. So maybe if you have a message like regarding the queer consortium endeavors, you can just send it to me and I can read it out for everyone. So
Sure,
that is
I'll
what,
do.
yeah, that is one thing that we can do right now. So going to Sreelakshmi, so what has like after you came out, so or what has been like an experience or an incident which really made you happy, like even before you came out, or something related, something in the LGBTQ community that you identify with, or something which made you really happy, that even this small act that might have happened in your surrounding or you came to know of?
Like the biggest thing that I have, I mean, I've been lucky in the sense saying that I have always had friends who have been supportive of the fact, starting from the time that I started becoming, I had started questioning my sexuality. At that, even from that point of time, my friends and even my mother, I was out with her since the moment I was, my bi-curious phase. At that point itself, I had told my mother that, I might, it is possible that, I'm not straight and all. And everybody in the initial stages, I came out only to a couple of people, and they've been the kind of support that they gave me as allies, because they were all straight people, and the kind of support I received from my best friend and from my mother, that somehow gave me the confidence to be out about it, and be unapologetic about it, that it's okay to be bi and to go out and explore what my sexuality is, and it is okay if you're not straight, or it's okay if I was I was straight for the last 18 years, and if today I'm not, then it is okay. Like it's fine for me to realize it now. So that was something that I gave me hope that it's fine, it's okay. Like I'm not going to be alone in my life, or it's okay that. And afterwards, I would recently, after joining this, I met so many amazing people from the community, and it has given me so much happiness to see that, okay, fine, you're not out to the public, but at least you're there. Like I can talk to people who are from my community, who understand what I am going through, or at least I can be there for somebody. And the most recent thing that I have seen that have given me immense happiness is when we started this hashtag Pride Pilani with Pride campaign, and we reached out to clubs across the campus, asking to show their support and all. And even though initially the clubs that showed support were the ones we reached out to, or who agreed to be a part of the campaign, but then slowly and steadily, the clubs that we didn't reach out to also took proactive steps to not only use the hashtag, but to create awareness in whatever way they could, whatever clubs they represented, in whatever ways they could, they did it without even us going to them to to stand up with us, to stand with us as allies. They did it themselves because they realized that it is important for them to stand up. So yeah, that made me really happy, because it kind of gave me the hope that, okay, fine, it's happening in this. It is going towards a direction where it will be fine someday. down the line. If not tomorrow, but someday for sure.
That's great. That's great. So, Arnab, recently you were a part of Levi's campaign on Pride. So, would you like to share your insight?
I mean, that was just one of them. I have done a couple of other things also. Uh, the highlight was sharing my story at a TEDx platform. But one thing I learned from that Levi's thing was, uh, I wrote that also. So they clicked my photographs, and there's a thing, right? When you also click, we all click pictures. We click not just one picture, we click like 5, 10 of them. And then we reject them and just select one thing, right? So, you know what? Even the 9 pictures which you rejected, they are also you. However bad you look, however good you look, and whatever you look, they are all you. So that campaign actually taught me to accept every side. Like, why just the beautiful side? See, I'm a very aesthetic guy. I would like to present everything in aesthetically, but I like, okay, I don't like that photo, but I have to post it because it's from that campaign. So this is what I wrote truly. Like, I have to cherish if I'm this way and I'm looking bad to myself, I have to accept that, right? And that is what is journey. See, acceptance is not just accepting your sexuality, it's accepting everything about you. And acceptance is not just limited to members of the LGBT community. We all learn every day some or the other thing about ourselves. So that is one thing. And when we say it's a rainbow, right? It's a rainbow, but we are only limited to few labels. But rainbow is not just few labels, it's a spectrum. So anybody can fall anywhere. And if you try to keep on labeling everybody, you will run out of pages, right? It will boil down to every individual person and name. We cannot do that. So why do we have to like label it and then bring out all their judge them because of the stereotype which was kept on flowing? Okay, he's gay, so he will do this like features. We don't have to do that. We have to define ourselves, as simple as that.
That's true. So, it's almost time before we wrap up the session. So before that, I would just have a quick knowledge booster or a rapid fire, so to say. So the idea here is that I give each of you a phrase or a term related to the community, and you have to describe it in a sentence for the audience that who's watching right now. So.
You should have told us you're taking as a test.
I know. There's a surprise test at the end of it. No one told me that.
I didn't know this was a tutorial.
Oh no, we are in BITS. We had BST, so might as well have the cute here. So yeah, first to Ram, gender
Okay.
versus sex. Yes.
Gender versus sex. Oh god, that's gonna take a while. So sex effectively is so when a child is born, right? You get whether it's a male or female mostly. It's binary based on primarily the genitals of the child, but 1 in 2,000 kids are intersex. Now, intersex is a combination of gonads, chromosomes, genitalia, and other things, where a child is neither biologically typically male or female, right? That's the sex part of it. So, sex, 3 things: male, female, intersex. When we talk about gender, now gender is again split into two of it. Gender is one is gender identity, is what I believe my gender is. That's called gender identity, right? And if I believe that my gender is what I'm born in, which are like born in a male body, I identify myself as male, the term is cisgender. The same for female. Born in female body, identify as female, cisgender. But if I'm born in a male body, I identify as female, then it's called transgender. Same vice versa. And hence, if you're a trans man, is someone who is born female but identifies as male, and trans woman is someone who is born in a male body, identifies as female. Too much?
That's perfect.
Explained a lot of things for us.
So moving to Sreelakshmi, gender dysphoria. or dysphoria, however you pronounce it.
Oh no. See, that is something even I am not.
I'll take it up for you. So, gender dysphoria is effectively when a child is, as a male, right? I grew up as a male, and so see, so gender identity we talked about. Gender expression is how we express our gender, right? We all express our gender, and there's some is what we feel comfortable doing, and some is what society expects us to do. In terms of, if you're a female, your length of hair should be this. You should wear a dress. You should be X, Y, Z. The whole pink, blue, entire gamut of things. So dysphoria is when I do not see myself the gender I'm assigned at birth. Maybe I'm assigned male at birth, but I identify to be female, and that discomfort with the gender is called gender dysphoria. And the gender dysphoria becomes so much that people go through the whole aspect of gender transition, where they actually physically go through surgical procedures to change the outside to match what they feel inside. Gender dysphoria is the reason why there are so many trans people on the street who have left their homes because their family did not accept their gender identity. So it is such an important integral part of it that every single time you look at yourself and you see that the society expects you to be something else, but you identify as another gender.
Okay. An easier one for Sreelakshmi. Asexual.
Okay, so asexual is somebody who is not, romantically attracted, like sexually attracted to somebody. So that is someone who you call asexual.
Okay. Now for Arnab, we have pansexual.
So pansexual is a person who is attracted to anyone irrespective of their gender. And that doesn't mean that they can date everybody at the same time. No. They don't discriminate within the gender. They just basically they can fall in love with any human being.
Good enough. Then back to Sreelakshmi again. Queer.
Queer is basically who anybody, like, it's a common term that you use for anybody in the community. And if you go very technical for that, I think queer means somebody who's not sure themselves about where they fall in the spectrum, like in terms of gender and sexuality. I'm not sure about, I'm not for sure I'm a lesbian, or I'm not for sure I'm a gay. Then I identify as queer, as somebody who doesn't know yet.
Yeah, so queer is a term which has been reclaimed by the Gen Z millennial community. The older generation hate the term because that was used to make fun of the LGBT community. So queer is now an umbrella term which kind of represents anything which is non-cisgender, non-heterosexual, as Shreem said.
Okay. So Ram, with the first answer itself, had covered most of the words which were there. So that brings us to the end of this knowledge booster surprise dude.
Great.
So yeah. So before that, we have message from Tushar regarding Queer Consortium and his achievements there, and I would read it out loud right now. So after creating Queer Consortium, people have come to me and said that it is really helping for increasing the visibility in the campus. And having that visibility definitely improves the overall concern for inclusivity and awareness. We have organized various talks like sexuality and development by collaborating with the humanities department. We have been able to give the safe space for people to be comfortable as they are. I did not want other queer people to struggle to find people to just be themselves and feel accepted. And the main reason we have started Queer Consortium, and I think we are able to do that. And since we have also been able to get into a discussion with various clubs and departments and the student union to put in an effort to make the campus more queer friendly. We also have an amazing faculty in charge, Professor Aswati Ravindran, who has helped us a lot in many aspects, including connecting us to the admin whenever needed. And she herself is very vocal, and having the representation of the queer student support group in the faculty has given us more seriousness and motive to work for the betterment of the society, of the queer BITSian's life on campus. Especially from a campus perspective, we have an official committee, Internal Complaints Committee, set up for protecting women from any discrimination and such things. I think it would be great if we had a committee which solely focuses on the issue of queer students, because queer students in many cases won't be able to approach a general complaints divisions directly if they have a problem. We are working towards this. This will give confidence to the queer students that the administration also particularly cares about their safety, and it would help them to be more visible on campus. Thank you, Tushar, for that message. Something that you would, any of you would want to add on because it's specific to the campus inclusivity?
I think for everyone who is listening into this live, for Bitsons around the world, whether you're on campus or off campus right now, I think it's important that we all spend 5 minutes to just educate ourselves about the LGBT community. There's a thriving LGBT Bitsin community, and people are doing really well. I think we just need to open our eyes to know that some Bitsins are LGBT and educate ourselves in the right vocabulary and reach out. If you don't know questions, it's okay. Till the time your intent is to learn, people are here to happy to help you understand. And go out and support and build a really, I think Bitsins have a really amazing network of Bitsins for each other where we are supporting each other, helping each other for everything else. We should also include LGBT inclusion in that.
I would like to extend on what Ram said uh, to people, to all alumni who are listening to it. And who are still questioning their sexuality, etc. It's not that only people in campus are dealing with the sexual problems with the sexuality. There might be alumni also who are dealing with it, because there's no right age or particular time when people come out or be comfortable or explore. So reach out to us and what Ram said, like even if you, for a few seconds, if you get to talk to somebody, and be yourself. So we are there for you. We are a BITSian family. So
Yeah, like um, like Tushar said, the work that QC is doing, I mean, that is something that Anchor has been doing since a long time, since it was, created in back in 2013, and that is what even now we are trying to do in 2020. That sensitizing students of this Pilani and creating a safe space so that if you are a student who is joining with Pilani University, and if you want a safe space where you can talk, and if that doesn't matter if you're a student right now, if you were a if you're a past student, or if you're going to join now, it 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 exists because if you know think that you belong to the community, and if you want to talk to somebody, if you want a a place to be yourself while you explore and while you understand your own self, we are there for you, and we'll always be there for you. It's a huge group of people from the community who has who are going through the same phase as you, or who has gone through the same phase as you, and are there basically to help you out with anything and everything that you would want. So
reach out to whoever you feel comfortable, and because we know what it is to protect one's identity.
yeah.
Okay. So one last question, and this is something which I have saved up for the end, towards the end of the session, was so like we had given the audience also to send in their questions for the Q&A session, and we have selected one question which is really sensitive, and I apologize in advance just in case if I hurt the feelings of the individuals present here or the LGBTQ community. Like especially this question relates to the transgender community, and we do not have anyone representing the transgender identity on the panel. So it would be sort of injustice to have you guys answer it, but then because here on the panel you guys are representing the entire community. So here's one of the question is so they shared this incident that when they were a teenager, say like 15 years old, he was groped publicly by a transgender person in train while he was traveling with three of his friends, and they were also hurling taunts at this particular group, as in like the three individuals were being hurled upon by that transgender person. Because so now his question is that why do they beg? Like, was it because they were and why did the hurling of the taunts happen? Like, because were they ignoring that person and did not give him some change? And why do they beg? Like, what makes them that like eve teasing is a way to get out of the situation and have money for like whenever they want to, by eve teasing the individual or the group? And like, what if a person gets violent with them? Do they not fear this? Like, and in addition to that, I would also mention that India has had a lot of people from the transgender community who have been on authoritative positions, like Satya Sri Sharmila, who is India's first transgender lawyer, then Prithika Yashini, India's first transgender police officer. So, like, in your opinion, now this is a question to the panel, that how does it hurt their chances at cohesion or just even inclusion? So,
So I'll take it. It's really sad that in 2019 and 20 now we are going and celebrating that India has its first transgender judge or a sub inspector or a college principal, while we have all known that trans people have existed since the very beginning, right? We have seen trans people forever. Now, that's an unfortunate incident what the person had to go through, and it's horrible. But coming to the question of why do trans people beg? So you have to understand who these people are. These people are who were kicked out of homes when they were very young, right? So when they had to leave the safety of a home, of comfort of a food and shelter and parents, and have to learn to survive for themselves, to fight for themselves and survive. Even today, they live on the fringes of society, right? And very few of us would employ them. Even if they know to how to cook, we will not keep them as cooks in our homes. Even if they can be security guards, we will not keep them as security guards in our office, in our home complexes or things like that. So it's not necessarily that they cannot do any other job. They can do other jobs. It's just that they have not had the opportunity to get the education in school and college, which we all had the privilege of, because they faced so much of bullying upfront that they did not get that. And hence, this is begging, and for a lot of them, sex work is a way for them to sustain themselves. And they are definitely afraid. Every day they go out, they face police brutality, they face all kinds of challenges, right? And they're at a space where they have already faced so much of hardship that the only way they see to sustain themselves is through this. Fortunately, things are changing. There are now programs coming in which is looking at re-educating trans people and bringing them back into mainstream society. There are companies who are willing to hire. There are skill building programs, which we also do at Pride Circle. So there is some good happening, but it's going to take a while and a more collective effort for all of us to really bring that change and ensure that people have ways to come back into mainstream society.
One thing I would like to add, of course, we are privileged that we are studying here. Imagine them going to school. No, they're kicked out of schools and everything. So it's their survival, and there's no shame. There's no shame in that. It's their survival. And just imagine if few years ago, I asked the question to myself. Few years ago, if there was a transgender person saying, putting a board, free hugs, and there was a guy or a boy, some other person who is very like glamorous and everything, like free hugs, there was a fear. There was already a fear. So we grow up hating that. We grew up with this prejudice that they are bad, right? And that became strengthened. And that incident which happened, it's very unfortunate that happened, but that actually strengthened it more. So of course, that behavior, like exploiting anybody, whoever it is, it's not acceptable. That was wrong. But we have to understand also, like we know few etiquettes of the society and etc. because we're taught about it, right? They're on their own.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of difference.
It's a vicious cycle, right? Like they have to go through hardships from a very young age in their life, like Ram said, to, they have to fight to survive in the world. And after a certain point of time, like it just builds up in them that they cannot be nice to people, because if they are nice to people, the chance of them getting exploited for that is very high. So they become like, they behave the way in the incident, like, they're very loud and they taunt you, and all of that things happen. And it's again a vicious cycle that once that happens to you, once a transgender person is misbehaving with you in public, and all of that, you again go into the fact that you don't, you're wary of transgender people, and then again the vicious cycle continues, that once again you come in contact with them, you again push them back, and then they push back to you. So it's a very vicious cycle, and at some point you have to break it, and it has to break somewhere. Either with you behaving, you taking the step towards including them in the society, and not shunning them as a child, because it is not their fault. It's it's not their fault that they were born that way, and treating it in that way, as a 6-year-old or a 10-year-old child being treated a certain way, because especially for something they are not responsible for, like they can't help it. It's a whole different ballgame that we can't understand, and we don't know what they have gone through.
It's our
So
collective failure as a society for that.
Exactly, yes.
But the chain is breaking, and that section of trans is one set of trans people. There are many more trans people, and because we're talking about breaking the chain, happy to share that today, head of DNI at KPMG is a trans woman. There's a captive bank whose VP is a trans woman in India. So it is definitely changing. There are many more trans people. There are also trans BITSians. So if we do more and more panels, we'll get to see them as well.
Definitely. So yeah, that's the end of this session. Like, we are so glad to have you on the panel. And one thing that I would mention is that though today is the last month of the Pride Month, so we as community, we as individuals, a message to the audience is that we shouldn't just restrict ourselves that, okay, fine, it's just a month of celebration. After that, we can get back to our lives. We have to keep celebrating them as individuals, not just because of their sexual identity. Like recently, Curious Bits, they released a post which said that they like we should not celebrate a person because of their sexual identity, but what they have contributed to the society. Like whenever the Pride Month kicks in every year, usually the STEM community, they celebrate personalities like Alex Turning. So why is it that it's just during the Pride Month that specific person is mentioned? Like we have to celebrate that person outside the Pride Month as well. So it's not just about like giving them respect because of their sexuality, but as individuals, as humans. That is something which is very important, which I feel, in my opinion.
Yeah, we're not gay
So
just during Pride Month. We are throughout the year.
Yeah.
yes.
It's not that it's 1st July that, oh, I'm not gay today. It's not like that.
Absolutely, allyship, more importantly, should be throughout the year, because it is important that we celebrate the aspect of the spirit of allyship. And the spirit of pride is effectively finding a space for everyone in the mainstream. So it should be everyday thing.
Definitely. So yeah, thank you so much to our audience, to our panels for joining us in for the first event of BITSian Day 2020. And this was such an empowering panel to all of you listening. So yeah.
Thank you, Bitsa, for having
Congratulations
it. This
to
is
BITSAA.
amazing. Yeah, this is really amazing. And
Congratulations on coming out as an ally.
yes,
Yes.
absolutely. And thank you for having us and this amazing co-panelists. We have Sreelakshmi, Arnab, Tushar. Unfortunately, we didn't get to hear much from Tushar.
Yes.
yeah, but it's really
Maybe
great
in the
to.
further upcoming sessions, we can have him on the panel
Yes,
next time. Yep,
yes,
definitely.
yes.
So yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Arya.
Thank you.
Yep.